Hello everybody, it's Jake, and today I'm going to give you my opinion on the game Warmachine and Hordes. In case you didn't know, this is the first miniatures game that I ever got into. I started playing at the beginning of Mark III about 5 years ago in 2016. And that is my first love in miniature wargaming hobby, right? I knew of Warhammer that whole time. The first time I ever encountered that game, I was 14 and was at the old G-Dub in Franklin Mills Mall, and me and my best friend went in there. My friend was pretty taken away by 40K, and I looked at Fantasy and was like, ooh, that's the game I want to play. But, being 14 with no job, still in high school, that wasn't possible. Fast forward to 2016, and one of my friends approaches me and says, hey, we've been playing this game in our friend's house for the past few years. Would you be interested in getting into it? And so I got into it. I started out with the Scorn 0-point box with Zeker, the two beasts, and the light beast. And within 2-3 months, I got up to 50-point games. I only played 2 0-point games because the group was playing 50 to 75 points, and within 6 months of owning Scorn, I had 75 points worth of stuff. I was in love with the game, to say the least. I really liked it. I didn't win. I suck at the game. I don't win much. In fact, in 5 years, I have a handful of wins, like maybe less than 10 wins in 5 years. But that's my problem. So what do I think about the game? Right now, it is bad. And this might just be me. It might be the game. I can't speak for everybody in the world. I know for myself, I am bored with the game. I don't get excited waking up every other Saturday to list build, get my stuff together, go to the shop and play a game. It's not fun. It hasn't been fun in a while. And I don't know if this is... Well, I know what it is. There's a whole handful of feelings that go into feeling like this. One, my meta is stale. We went from 8 players playing a wide range of different armies to 4 players because of the pandemic, and that's understandable. The current state that the game is in now, it needs change. It needs a lot of change just to reinvigorate what it once was at the beginning of Mark III, or even some people say Mark II was a better edition, but that's neither here nor there. What it needs now is exactly that, a new edition. I believe it needs a new edition. What's wrong with Mark III? Fundamentally nothing. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with this game. The Mat Rat Focus Fury 2d6 system is great. The fundamentals of the game are easy to learn, and it's after it. Once you get past the fundamentals, everything else after that is just a slog. It's a complete and utter clusterfuck of wading through rules, infernal rulings, instances that contradict one another, yes no win situations where just A beats B, and it's akin to Warhammer Fantasy Battles when that game died. And what was wrong with that game when it died? Stagnated sales, low player growth. It was hard to get new players into it. There was a lot of old models out and available. It was very expensive to get into, and the rule system was kind of bloated, right? This game is in the same spot. It really is. Asking a new player to get into this game right now is damn near impossible. You got the 0-point starter sets, which apparently are dwindling. You can't find them that easily anymore. I know for a fact that my shop, there's only 3 left. I haven't seen a 2-player starter set in years. There hasn't been any big hype, like big box releases, which is something I don't think they've done in Mark III, except for maybe at the very, very beginning of it. Oh, and Oblivion. Oblivion last year was the narrative campaign. but that's only one player in our group brought that, and we tried to go through it, and we never finished it. And it's, I don't know, I'm narrative adverse anyway, like lore adverse. I don't really care about the lore. And so once you get past the starter boxes, you're asking a new player to buy $300 to $500 worth of models, because 75 points is where the game is balanced at. That's where the game operates with the most comfortably, I guess you could say. 50 points is kind of there, but you definitely feel it when you're list building that there's a little bit missing. And anything below that, except for Brawl Machine, because that's formatted to be that way, but that's an unofficial game mode by the Line of Sight guys, is kind of weird. It's weird to play. And teaching a new player how to play the game. Once you get past the fundamentals of the game, you have to ask them, all right, here is the amount of models you're going to have on the board. You need to learn these cards that tell you their abilities and everything. And let me tell you something, these cards, they're something else. They really are. The stat line is easy. There's a little bit of redundancy, which I'll get into later when I talk about the rules. One of the biggest things that I always get hooked up on was the amount of rules on a card was way too much in some instances. Like, you'll have the stat line, its weapons, the associated numbers with the weapons, and then you get into abilities and its spells. And for Warcasters and Warjacks, there's defeat cards. And some of these models have not just two cards worth of rules. It's too much. It is way too much sometimes. And a lot of these things could be trimmed. A lot of it is extra fat that's situational, or in most games just useless. Like, for example, I almost never use Carnage on Makeda. And there's a lot of other things that I can think of off the top of my head that I've just like, never done this and I used it. There's no point. I don't see the value to it. So there's a lot of fat they could trim from the game just to make it flow. Because that's one of the things I've also never really experienced playing this game, is a good flow to the game. It is a lot of stop and start, looking at rules, checking wikis for infernal rulings, and the flow of the game, at least in my group, is bad. It is really bad. We don't play on a clock, so the myth of playing a 3-hour game out the window most of the times, especially at 75 points. We routinely play 4-hour games sometimes. And I think I've played maybe 2 games where the game was like, go, 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 shoot, shoot, roll, roll, do your thing. And it was like fun and enjoyable. There's been another handful of times where I played the game with a clock, and that was like nerve-wracking. And so that sucks. And I understand that everything that I'm saying is something you could say about every other game, but this game, for some odd reason, it for me personally, it just reached a point of like, okay, I only see the flaws in this game now because I've been playing it so long, and I've been playing against the same group so long. My nitpickiness of the game has kind of ruined it in a way, I guess. And so a lot of it, you could just say, oh, well, you're not having fun with the game, you need to do something else. Yeah, but when you sit down and talk to the players in my group, we all kind of say the same thing. We're all slowly reaching to that point of this game is not fun. And I'm only speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for the rest of my group, but like, I'm there, and I don't want to play it no more. I've played so many other games this year during the pandemic that have been a lot of fun, and just like, I don't feel the stress and like anxiety of playing Warmachine and Hordes when I play other stuff. and that sucks. That's a crappy place for your game to be in. And like the whole state of the game itself, like what is going on behind the scenes for Warmachine? I mean, they keep releasing these Riot Quest models. I don't keep up with the release schedule because I play Score and we haven't gotten anything in a couple years. And other players will tell me, well, you at least you got something in the last 5 years, which is understandable too. So I have no room to complain, but I'm just like, what is happening to the game? Like, what's going on with it? Are we getting a 4th edition? Is there anybody that could tell us, oh, no, there's not? Think about it, there's not. All the devs that keep leaving. Like, the perception of Privateer Press from a customer of theirs is one of, like, dire doomsday kind of feely, right? Even before everybody left, they've always had a reputation of stuff doesn't always work. And what do I mean by that? Like, when they released the Archons a couple years ago, there were reports that some of these Archons weren't even cured all the way. People had to throw them into the oven. There's always reports of like, well, shipments are going to be late. We have to delay stuff and stuff like that. So like, it seems like a company that could barely function before the pandemic and then ceases all function during the pandemic is dead. At least in terms of Warmachine, because they're doing other stuff. I'll give them that. They're doing other stuff. But in terms of the game that we all are here to play, it seems dead. At least to me. It really does. It's not officially dead. We know they're still supporting it. We know that Oblivion, the second half of that, is supposed to be coming sometime. I don't know, this year, next year. But again, I haven't kept up with it because, quite frankly, I'm tired of the game. I want to play something else. I don't know. There's a lot to take in, and like if I would recommend, like if somebody asked me, Jake, do you recommend this game? I honestly say no. No, I don't recommend this game. There's more fun stuff to play. Infinity. That's just as complicated. It's less models. The barrier to entry is way, way less. Code 1 is a simplified rule set that works you into the full game rule set. You only need 10 to 15 models, although you're going to end up buying the whole range sometimes. And that's what I ended up doing. Age of Sigmar, my store got into that, and I'm doing an Escalation League with Seraphon, and that's been a blast. That game is fun. It's a lot of models, just like Warmachine. It's expensive, just like Warmachine, but the pace and the flow of the game is so much better. I don't think I've played a game of Age of Sigmar that has lasted more than 2.5 hours yet. We're up to 1,250 points in the Escalation League, too. That's quick. That's really fast for a game of that size. Now we'll have to see how the 2,000 point games end up. But it's still been a much smoother, quicker experience than Warmachine ever was for me. Marvel Crisis Protocol, again, another skirmish game. The rules are so lax in that, but they're fun. They're fun. That game's not balanced at all. There's just certain things that beat other things, but it's fun. I can't say that about Warmachine and Hordes right now, and that's a shame. So like I said, this is the 4th time I tried to make this video, and the first 3 times was a super strange like range of emotions. It ranged like it started out like kind of like sad, angry, and then it just got really angry, and then the last time I did it, it was sad and less angry. This is probably the least sad or the least angry that I've been trying to make this video, and I feel like that's because I'm skipping out on the points that want to really cement home how bad the game is, because there's a lot of points that I can make in favor of the state of this game. And in fact, when I told my group I was probably going to do this video, I printed out a list of points, and I had 25 points of just discontent and unhappiness with the game. And it really boils down to the rules are cumbersome. You can't get new players into it. it's super friggin' expensive, and I've lost my passion for the game. How do you fix it? Well, it needs a new edition. Quite honestly, it needs an end time scenario. This game would benefit so much from reducing it to rubble. I think it really would. If you could get rid of half the models in a line, or like in a faction, reduce the amount of choices a player has to make by a lot, it would go so much better. And there's so many like small, fixable, redundant rules within the rule set that would make the game better if they were fixed. Like the one I always get hung up on is, and this is a simple one to get hung up on, is command and control, right? They're both basically the same thing. It's the distance a model has for a range of controlling other models, right? Why is there command and control? Well, command is for your troopers, control is for your war beasts, or your war jacks, and no, your warlocks and your war masters, right? And honestly, it could be one word. It doesn't have to be two stats. You could have a control range for your regular troopers, and it could be whatever the number is right now. It could be like 7 inches for a troop of little warriors, right? And for a caster, it could be what it is, which is double the fury or focus count in all cases. There's no reason for that rule to be two separate things other than complicating and redundancy. Okay? What's another rule that I always like get really angry with? Oh, trample and power moves in general. Make it so that every beast, and I suggest this to my group, and everybody's kind of like, it makes sense what you're saying, but I don't know about that, which is another thing. I think we're so locked into the balance and the way that this game is played that it would benefit from a shakeup like this. So back to power moves. Every war beast and warjack should be able to do a power move. Regardless, get rid of the closed fist rule. Cyclops Shaman. The model physically has an open fist. How come I can't throw something with that? It's a medium-based model. How come it can't make throws? You're telling me this monster trained for the art of warfare can't pick up a little warrior model and throw it? That's bullshit. And that's just off theme and stupid. It's like not on brand. Trampling's another one. Everything, every beast and warjack should be able to trample regardless of base size. If you want to exclude the huge size bases, the 100mm bases from that, fine. But your lights and your mediums and even your lessers should be able to trample. How does that work? The way I'm saying it, it stops if it hits a larger model. Is that hard? Does it have to be so specific and restricting the way it is? Even lessers. If you got a pack of lessers, it should be able to trample over warrior models, and it stops if it hits a medium base model. Or even a light warjack, if you want to get that technical with it. But that should be how technical it is. It shouldn't be that much harder. And if you want to get to the like brass tacks wording of the rule, this is how I would word it. Any warjack or war beast can make a trample move for the same distance as a charge move, so your speed plus 3, and it stops movement if it comes in contact with a larger based model. And every model it hits along the way, as long as it has a clear spot to stop at, will get an attack against it. Doesn't that whole thing just sound cumbersome itself? But that's what I think it should be. You ever see a dog take down a human? I have a 50-pound boxer pit bull mix that headbutts me. It pulls, it pushes, it lunges, it slams, it tramples. It could do the power moves. That's, it's one of them silly things that every time I play the game, I'm just like, why can't I do this? and it would open up the play so much more. Stuff like that is what I'm getting at. Stuff like that could change. How many times have you heard this? If you know what the game is about, my feet is useless. I play quite a few situations where A beats B, and it's not fun. I have a Trolls player. He's hard to beat. He's a much better player. Better players usually win in this game. But I beat him a few matches ago simply because my feat denies his feet, or my theme benefit denied his feet completely. Took away tough from him. So that was like, he had nothing he could do. I reduced his army's capacity to stay alive, and that sucks for him. Which is, it sounds like that's a weird thing to complain about in a game where you're trying to kill everything, but think about it this way. It's not a decision I made on the field of play that reduced his capacity to stay alive. It was a decision written into the rules of my list that denied that. So imagine you're sitting there and you know exactly what your opponent is bringing. You have an answer for that in your list, but that answer is not something that you play out on the board. It's just something that exists on the card and says you can't do it. It's so incredibly powerful that other person is now in a position that says you can't win. You can't do what you want to do because what I have in my list, without making any rolls, decisions, or actions on the field, just shut you down. There's stuff like that in this game. And I'm sure you could say, like I said, you could say this for every game, but in Warmachine Hordes, it feels really prevalent. And there's a reason why I feel the way I feel, because I've been on the other end of this a lot. And it sucks. Like, we had a tournament player. We had 2 tournament players, actually, I think, come in. And they wiped the field with us. Like, we had this battle board thing where we was going up the battle board, and at the end of the season, we was going to give away money, and the dude won. And we love the guy. He's a great guy. But if we ever played in a tournament, and he was in that tournament, we just have to automatically write the check to him if there's a prize. It's amazing, like, the difference in knowledge of the game. You're just able to shut off a lot from another army, and it's not a feel-good situation. Like, it doesn't feel good going into a matchup knowing I have a complete advantage over another list just because of the choices I made. Completely shut that list off. You can legit counter a counter that'll counter a counter, and then you're in a situation where you're looking at each other. It's like, well, why? I'm better off doing nothing. And that don't feel good. And I think lately, in my experience with the game, I've been feeling a lot. I have a ret player, and like I said, I play Scorn, and I just can't beat him. I can't beat him. I've tried a few different lists. He's bought in a couple different lists. He's even, like, admitted he bought in a list that was shitty on purpose. And it was like, why am I getting table wiped turn 3? Why am I doing this bad? What is going on? And for a while, I had that relationship with another player in our group where he couldn't beat me. What I was bringing, it was just like, there's no point in playing you. You're just going to beat me. And stuff like that sucks. It really does. I think a new edition would fix that. I don't necessarily know if I trust Privateer Press to fix the game, because they seem to be radio silent right now. Maybe that's just me because I've stopped paying attention to them. And I know the pandemic hurts a lot of people, particularly them. And so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but then I have to look at other companies like Games Workshop, like Corvus Belli, like Parabellum. That's a brand new game that came out in the middle of the pandemic. Corvus Belli, they released N4, Code 1. They're switching to plastic after only exclusively making meta models for the past 15 years. And G-Dub had 2 separate games get new editions. So I look at Privateer Press and I just wonder, are we really that dire? Are we really that close to the end of the life of this game? Because that's what it feels like. I don't do anything through Kickstarter. If you do something through Kickstarter, then I know for sure the game is dead, because that tells me you don't have the confidence in what you can release about the game. Like the way I've always looked at Kickstarter is that you don't have the confidence in your product without the reassurances of money and a backing from your fans to put something out. And anytime I see something like this go through Kickstarter, unless you are a no-name company and you're trying to get your word of mouth through there, but this Privateer Press isn't a no-name company. They're not. And this might sound unfair, but it's just my opinion. So yeah, if I had to recommend a new player to this game, the answer is no. Play something else. That might just be my saltiness, but it seems to be deep in me right now, and it sucks. So that's all I want to come out and say. This video has been on my mind for a while, at least the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I haven't painted anything this month. August is kind of a vacation month for me, and I'm going back to work for the first time in the very end of the month in September, and my job's actually coming back. So the pandemic's over. Yay. Oh, crap. So yeah, in terms of this is completely unrelated. In terms of YouTube videos and stuff, I know I said last video I try to get a video out every 2 weeks. That is obviously not true. At this point, I'm just going to release a video when I feel like it. It's like I said, my real job is starting back up, and it's not like this was a job anyway. This was just a way for me to keep track of the hobby and what I'm doing. I'm not going to completely stop. I'm not. I don't want to. I want to keep doing this because it's fun for me. And this video wasn't fun. This video fucking sucks. But no, yeah. I got a lot of crap to paint. I have a boatload of Infinity models I want to put on the channel. I'm still working through Seraphon for Age of Sigmar, and I got so many. What's gear acquisition syndrome for magicians? All right, what that came out weird, but I look at other games and like I have Warhammer Fantasy Battle 6th Edition core rulebook, and part of me wants to just print out a 3D printed army, like a completely 3D printed army, and try to play that. And then I've been looking at Kings of War lately, and that looks like a lot of fun. Like I said, I've been playing Infinity. I got Nomads for that. If I start a second faction, I'm thinking about either O12 or Hakaslam. Oop, my phone rang. Like I said earlier in the year, there was a Marvel Crisis Protocol League at my shop. I have a lot that I want to do, a lot that I could paint, and a lot that's sitting on my pile of shame, and I'm ready for something new. So, bon voyage, Warmachine Hordes, for right now. Hello, everything else that I could be playing. So thanks for watching. If you've made it this long, good on you. Go do something else. I relieve you from watching this video. Poo-poo, poo-poo, go away. Go away. Thank you. Goodbye.